Hi there, Coach Soul here. Welcome to our Performance Edge Weekly Wisdom, where spirit drive performance. Coach Soul. So here's a little different. Today we are going to discuss the most effective approach for sustainable weight loss. Recently in the news, it was highlighted that next year, weight loss drugs are projected to surpass hundreds billions dollars a year. Yes, weight loss drugs projected to surpass $100 billion a year. So today we are specifically going to understand how developing spiritual intelligence can help improve psychological well-being, which can significantly help provide sustainable weight loss management. So first, in this video, we'll explore the most effective common guidelines provided by the expert in the field of weight loss management. And second, we'll see with applied spirit approach to resolving issues at the root cause of how spiritual intelligence can provide sustainable weight loss management. And by the end of this video, not only will you understand the reason for the rise of the weight loss drugs in the nation, but also how applied spirit is an untapped approach to helping people improve psychological well-being, and why applied spirit is the best strategy that will help us resolve the spread of weight gain and obesity in our nation. And I will share with you from an applied spirit lens that was understood from ancient and secular wisdom, which will give you a sustainable solution, a sustainable formula for resolving your weight management issue moving forward. Ready? Let's jump in. So just recently, according to the news, weight loss drugs are to surpass $100 billion by next year, according to current financial projections. So obesity is a chronic disease that affects more than 4 in 10 adults in the United States. And nearly 1 in 10 Americans have severe obesity. And healthy weight isn't about following a diet program necessarily, right? Because in today's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, in this VUCA world, the many demands in our lives have highlighted the challenges that are multi-level and more complex. So if you are struggling with your weight, here in this video, we'll explore first of all, the overall common guidelines to losing weight. Second, we will see how do weight management medications work with its pros and cons. And third, I will share with you from an applied spirit lens how spiritual intelligence role in improving healthcare, not only mentally, but how its effect has a positive impact holistically on people's well-being, which leads to a healthy, sustainable weight management. And at the end, I will introduce you to a totally new perspective of how humans operate from an applied spirit lens that will help you to transform any mental cyclic constraint you have or motivation to losing weight in a sustainable fashion. Wall Street salivating, and mainly obesity treatments are currently limited to injections. But pills will expand the market and lower the cost, and they estimate that it might reach $100 billion next year, 2024. And when you ask yourself how so, the real question is how common are overweight and obesity? And it's a chronic disease that affects more than 4 in 10 adults in the United States. And nearly 1 in 10 Americans have severe obesity. And so just to level set, what are overweight and obesity? And healthcare professionals, they use a body mass index, BMI, as a measurement of your weight in relationship to your height to define overweight and obesity. And if you don't know, I have a link there how to calculate your BMI. And it's from the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. And so the guidance is people who have a BMI between 25 and 30, they consider to be overweight, and obesity is defined as having a BMI of 30 or greater. And so the science behind weight loss drugs originally developed on how people manage type 2 diabetes, because the main ingredients in those drugs, they help regulate insulin production in your body. And insulin regulates blood sugar, which means that obesity and diabetes are related. So if you have obesity, you are exposed to develop chronic condition like heart disease or diabetes. So that's really the case. And those drugs have the effect of making you lose appetite and making you create a sensation of making you feel full. And some of these drugs, they claim that no dieting or exercising is needed for it to work. And those are not necessarily true, because if you stop to exercise, you might gain weight back. And one of the early findings nowadays we see is that those drugs not only help you lose weight significantly, but also it helps, sharply cut heart attack, strokes, and sudden cardiac death. And as we know, unfortunately, they are appealing because cardiovascular disease is a leading cause of death in the U.S. So that's what some of the doctors, physicians are looking and administrating this. But the truth is the drugs are too new to know the long-term effect. Even though the short-term set of side effects are known, which are mainly diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting. And to look at some of the other things to consider, the cost of a medication can cost, over $1,000 or more per month. And sometimes they are not covered by insurance. The other side effect is what? Is permanent reliance on the medication. Because if people lose weight with new drugs, they likely will need to keep taking them forever. And another shortfall is a shortage of the drugs due to the popularity of medication. And there is a possibility of bad gastrointestinal side effect, like we talked about, that will trigger diarrhea, stomach aches, and bloating. And some of the side effects that even was seen is eye problem called retinopathy that has surfaced in some cases. So some of the side effects of taking drugs are not have to be considered, even though the cardiovascular aspect on top of the weight loss really are there as well. So it's important to know them, and that's why we need to make sure they're all cited here. So when you think about that, what are the current methodology being used? So in that, there are two major positions, and that's what we're going to go over. The first position that physicians recommend right away is medication right away. So that's important here. So in that position, I want to share with you how do weight management medication work. Because prescription medication to treat overweight and obesity, they work in different ways. For example, some medication may help you feel less hungry or full sooner. Other medication may make it harder for your body to absorb fat from the food you eat. So the science behind weight loss originally developed on how people manage type 2 diabetes, because the main ingredient helps regulate insulin production in your body, and the insulin regulates blood sugar. So that's really why a lot of physicians take that position, medication right away. And even what makes it more appealing for physicians, as stated earlier, is the fact that so as people lose weight, the cardiovascular and the aspect risk is reduced, and the heart attack risk is reduced. So that's why the first position is really preferred from a lot of people. Let's look at the second position. That's what mainstream as well. It's a lifestyle. In fact, the CDC, Center for Disease Control in the US, and basically they mentioned that weight management medication aren't for everyone with a 5 BMI. And if you're overweight or have obesity, you might be able to lose weight with a lifestyle program that changes your behavior and improves your eating and physical activity habits. And the lifestyle program may also address other things that cause you to gain weight, such as eating triggers and not getting enough sleep, right? In fact, the CDC, they confirm that healthy weight isn't about following a diet or program, right? Instead, it involves a lifestyle with healthy eating patterns, regular physical activity, stress management, and they suggest that other factors like sleep, like the age, the genetics, the disease, and environment, of course, medication may also contribute to weight management. And they suggest that if you are concerned about your weight or have questions about the medication, talk to your healthcare provider. So this is the CDC position in terms of giving you a broad umbrella. So as you can see, those two positions, the first one straight away that talks about the medication, or the second one that talks about lifestyle overall. They're basically the two major positions that are being used nowadays. And when you look at the current results, it's important to see in the past, people who were overweight or struggling with obesity had been blamed for carrying extra weight. So now, most experts are viewing obesity as a medical issue. That's what's happening right now. And they're much more likely to consider biochemical causes for obesity. Even if the CDC recommendation, if you see a living patient in an ambiguous situation by saying talk to your doctor. So in that way, they're saying there's no agency. You as a patient, if you look at that from my perspective as an applied spirit coach, you're giving your power away. Regardless of where you stand, this is what we know. People with gradual, steady weight loss, about 1 or 2 pounds per week, they are more likely to keep the weight off than people who lose weight quickly. So this is what we know. So now let's think about it. So why it's not working despite all the recommendation that we have? And it's really simple from the perspective of a coach, applied spirit coach. And the biggest problem comes from the limitation of the current paradigm and our understanding of how human operates. Because even if a CDC recommendation, they're leaving patient in the ambiguous situation by saying, talk to your healthcare provider. So there's no agency as you're giving your power away. So with that, here is what needs to happen. There need to be the main problem here is a paradigm that needs to change. That's this first paradigm. That's it. It's not your fault. There's no accountability. Talk to your doctor. So that's this first paradigm I'm citing here that need to change. And again, as I'm now kind of helping you going forward here in all this, video and teaching, I want to just give you a disclaimer. And I'm not talking about people who have genetic, diseases or people who are prone to weight gain or who are medically disabled for weight management issue. And again, I want to put a disclaimer here. But what is clear and what I'm addressing is that we are seeing a growth in the trend of more overweight situation in the nation, which means objectively we need to look at our habits and the full picture of what we're doing in order to change that trend. And we don't have a chance to do so when you are being told that it's not your fault, don't worry about this, don't worry about this, right? The truth is, if you are not held accountable for something, most likely you will not see the necessity to improve it. So that's clearly one of the reasons it's not working. So no accountability, no responsibility. And again, here I want to address the obvious solutions already out there that are well known. Physical activities, working out, right? Changing eating habits, commitment, diet, right? So I figure there are a lot of professionals and health coach and trainers and all the physicians to give you that approach and to handle that. But when you look at all that, when you look at all those solutions and we see that it's still not working, we should ask ourselves why. And that's where that leads us in the second paradigm that's important. And why? Because the current solutions, they are treating symptoms. So in a way, it's limited understanding of how human operates, right? So because the root cause are ambiguous. And so when you look at those two positions, again, I'm going to share the first position we talked about is what? Medication right away. And the second position is the lifestyle, right? So we talked about how healthy weight isn't about following a diet program only, right? It involves a lifestyle. So those are the two positions out there. And the third position that I'm now going to share with you is that new perspective that's coming from ancient and secular wisdom. And that third position is applied spirit. It's basically the applied spirit look at treating the problems at the root cause, which will make it sustainable. And that answer is found by acknowledging and seeing that there is a limited understanding of how human operates. And when you understand that, you are able to go to the root causes of the issue. So in that, when you look at that position, let's look at it. What has changed? We are living in a VUCA world, right? Volatile, uncertain, chaotic, ambiguous world, which means there's more demand and pressure imposed on you, on all of us. Now, on the other hand, let's look at all these solutions: healthy eating patterns, regular physical activity, stress management, sleep, age, genetics, disease, medication, and environment. Besides the genetic aspect here, you can see that all these solutions are an outcome of lifestyle choices. Especially, you realize that you can answer that only if you understand that there is a limited understanding of human operates. So you can answer that by asking yourself a higher question level, which is what? What are the root causes of people's life choices? What are the root causes of people's lifestyle choices? And as you see that leads us straight into applied spirit. It's about understanding what are the factors and the drivers of your life. So and that's where that leads us to the third paradigm, which is the need of a new paradigm, that new understanding. So humans experience themselves in 5 dimensions, and there are 3 drivers that drive our decisions, our habits, and our actions. So the solution lies in understanding a new paradigm that was understood since ancient Egypt, right? But before we dive into this, why is the understanding of this paradigm important? It's simply because of this. Because of excessive volume of data you process every day, your brain does 3 things. It deletes, it distorts, and or generalize. So in a way, it's a filter. It helps you filter so that you can optimize and be fast, right? So in a way, that creating that filter, it makes you prone to illusions, whether your illusions are a good one or a bad one, right? So regardless, that is at the basis of being in denial, that is at the basis of avoiding, that is at the basis of escaping, that is at the base of trying to bury your true emotions. So that this paradigm is very important to understand. And I don't have a time to go over it here, but you can find out more about that by watching my video about the quantum door. Because the quantum door is a spirit elevation platform system that equips people to move from being rigid, to move people from being stuck, or from being self-absorbed, or from being doubtful, or from being frustrated, or for being overwhelmed, to being effectively in the flow, to being in a confident and ease state of optimal performance. So the fundamental to understand is that your daily experience is driven by those 3 drivers that I'm going to share. And the first driver is social conformity. Social conformity. I'll share a little bit deeper there, but social conformity. And the second one is self-projection. And the third driver is resources. So social conformity is to think of it, basically, if you want to think about it, is basically unseen or unspoken rules that are imposed on people by accepted social norms. And as you can imagine, with social media, all this social, new logistical where people need to be there in a 24 hours news cycle, that all make conforming elevated to critical levels. That's for sure, as you can tell. And for self-projection, it reflects the doubt, the insecurities, the fear that are inherited through personalities and weaknesses. And when you look at the resources, finally, they are important because there is a perception, especially when there's a perception of scarcity. And when you think about scarcity, you can look at all aspects of it that make us react. And some of the question would be financial. Will I have enough money? Or if you think about that beyond that, will I have enough time? Or will I have enough energy to survive or satisfy my needs and my want? So these three drivers are the basis of the formation of your illusions and your filters through which you kind of really make decisions, particularly if you want to brain delete, distort, or generalize. So with that new understanding, that leads us to the most fundamental that the quantum dot teaches, and that was at the foundation of ancient Egypt. And so that's where I'll go there. And so that leads us into, okay, so what do I do instead? So what do you do instead? That's where it comes from. The third paradigm. Fundamental is your reality is spirit into form. Your reality is spirit into form. So what do I mean by that? Looking at the quantum field, it's an energetic field where everything is energy, right? You go all the way looking at the quantum field. So you can clearly see that it's a matter of degrees, meaning all forms of everything that's out there that exists are then just a different manifestation of the energy. Or you could say that what? All the forms are different from the energy. And so what we know is that the animating energy that carries the breath, the animating energy that carries life power is one thing, your spirit. So meaning your experience is a result and the form of your desires. The visible is a form of invisible, meaning specifically why that matters to you here. Because what appears as an overweight is a result of an imbalance, reflecting a misalignment from your authentic spirit desires versus the reality you are experiencing. So the overweight you experience is a reflection of a gap between your authentic desires versus the reality you are experiencing. But here is the good news. It's a wake-up call. You need to handle it now. But the bad news is if you don't, it will keep elevating and turn into a louder crisis. So in that thinking, if spirit is your reality to form, the overweight, the weight imbalance is a result of an emotional imbalance, which is a result of illusions contrasting to your reality, which is also further a result of misalignment of your authentic desires versus your reality. How is it so? Because the bigger the misalignment and the wider the gap between your authentic desires against your reality, the more you experience emotional pain. And that pain can take many forms. Addictions, obviously the addiction to food is the first one, but it can be addiction to other substances. And that emotional pain will keep increasing if not handled with awareness, because pain is reflecting a deep fear that needs to be resolved. And that's a spiritual work where we need to grow and evolve, because fear is protecting an all consciousness level and the all you that is outdated and need to be outgrown. Yes, we all heard about the term growing pain in all culture, because growth and rebirth is cyclical dialectic, where two entities apparently opposed fuse to a new conception. So if you find yourself with an urge to eat or always wanting to eat, stop for a minute and ask yourself if you feel a tension. And if you don't, about tension, it's a basic spirit indicator. And for the most part, tension is at the root cause of stress. So this is what I mean by apply spirit at work. So let's understand why tension occurs. So tension, it's a basic spirit indicator. And it's basically the illusion from the drivers that are not aligned with your authentic desires. And it's an issue because you are not able to see your true reflection because of illusions that are on your way. Like a dusty mirror illusions, they interfere for you to lose your to see. They interfere for you to see your true reflection. And that causes misalignment and pain as a result. So spirit reflections that are designed to identify the element, trait, driver which was seeking to express itself. So in nature and the cosmic order, feminine energy and polarity is what start and ignite motion in this plane. You can just look at the electron, for example, meaning an elemental trait seeking expression is always manifested via its absence or via a negative trait in this case. So as an example, in order to experience courage, you will need to face your fears. In order to experience speed, you need to know what is slow. You need a reference. So the goal of a reflection is to discern which negative trait was at play and what it was seeking to experience. To find that out, you must go through identifying the pain, discerning a fear, which will lead you to identify the illusion on why you did what you did by looking at the data. And as you see the illusion at work, you are able to reconstruct using attention and see what was your desire. And that's a process of evolution. And I don't have time here to explain too much, but you can look at other videos. But that's how you are a co-creator, right? But so in that, why do I have tension? It's because you have an expectation. Why do you have tension? That of what you want, you have an expression of what you value, you have an expression of an image of what you are supposed to have. And the key secret is to realize that your expectation is corresponding to an identity and to an image, and that's a spirit work for you to see. Whether or not it's an image, that identity, that value needs to be outgrown, or if you need to change the magnitude of your action or in your approach. So the spirit work is threefold. One, to uncover that consciousness level and should you evolve from that, which means review the image, review the expectation, review the value through the three drivers we talked about, right? And the number two, action is if a desire or expectation, if that's authentic, that tells you, okay, you need to just change your approach and your action, right? But that will mean you still need to come from an evolved new conscious level. Right? So as you can see here, when you are able to unfold the conscious level that is at the cause of attention, you are able to release the tension, which was at the cause of your stress, which led you to overeating or not wanting to exercise, or that's what got you into emotional dilemma, or everything that becomes asymptomatic that your physician treats through medication. So if you can handle it at the root cause, you won't need to handle it at the symptom level, right? Yes, it will take some training in awareness, but then you will be positioned for a lifelong methodology that you get. So I hope that makes it clear and helpful. So now, since you stick to around, let's add bonus tip. Bonus tip is this: journal your eating habits for a couple of weeks. In doing that, look at the frequency during the day. How many times you snack, how many times you eat. Number two, anytime you want to eat, catch yourself. Is the urge to eat legit? Or is it you feeling a tension and wanting to exchange? And are you trading that tension with food intake? So this is the second trick, the second advice what you do. And number three, in the bonus tip, always track the nature of the food intake. Is it a processed food? Is it a fresh food, basically, right? Does it have a live enzyme? And if all day you are eating only processed food, there is a problem. You need to adapt and figure out the lifestyle changes. But that's what you have here on those, quick bonus tip. And if you want to know more, I want to talk about this as there is so much we can talk about. But if you want to know more and continue this conversation with me, please sign up to our brand new community. And our community is Free Souls, where you will get a chance to meet more people that are on the same journey as you are. And furthermore, you will get access to more tips and relevant answers to your real problems. And it's all free for now. You can see it below. The link is in my comment below. Also, if you have an issue you want me to talk about directly, you can submit those in the comments below, or you can request specific video topics by logging into www.thequantumdo.com/video. And you can see that again, www.thequantumdo.com/videos. And really, let's face it, obesity is a chronic disease that affects more than 4 in 10 adults in the United States, and nearly 1 in 10 Americans have severe obesity. Not even talking about children obesity, because more than 14 million US children have obesity, with significant disparity by income, race, and ethnicity. So the current approach and solutions we saw, as I share in this video, are missing out on the biggest opportunity to weight management programs. It's a development and the adherence to apply spirit. Because when we are faced with weight management issue, it is a reflection of a mental constraint for the most part, which is coming from an emotional unbalance So it's all about understanding that there is a misalignment between your authentic desire and your reality that you are experiencing. So people need to understand that your reality is spirit actualized into form, which means you need to explore your spiritual growth opportunity. That's why I'm here as an applied spirit and performance coach to provide you with these different angles that have been known from ancient wisdom practices so that you can leverage your spirit to optimize your performance. So the secret is to understand the root cause of weight management. And when you understand that, you adhere to my favorite quote as always. Failure is a necessary prerequisite for human excellence. Till next time, live your truth. Coach Soul out.